After the war.
Oh, this was you got it after the war. Okay.
Yeah. We were on Guam when the bomb was dropped.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard of the Medal of Honor.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea what it was. One of the scary things was, right after early September. So the bomb dropped in September. And,
Yeah, sure we did.
Go earn your khakis.
Even my year we called the khakis.
Yeah. We kept our khakis folded up in a sea bag. So they were just all wrinkled, and every Friday evening we had to iron our khakis, so we're going to have an inspection on Saturday morning. The khakis had to be ironed.
Iron.
Yeah. So he said, go get your khakis out, iron them up, you're going to see the general. I'm a corporal. What am I going to see the general for? He said, hell, I don't know. Well, scared, absolutely dead. I hadn't done anything to have to go see the general. You don't go see the general unless there's something wrong. So I go on in my khaki and come back to his office, and there's a Jeep sitting there. So I go out and get in the Jeep, little Marine PFC driving the Jeep. I'd never been to the general's area. I didn't even know where his tent was. So off we go, and we get to his area, camp, and there's his aide, full colonel, standing out in the yard in front of the tent. And I get out of the Jeep and salute him. He said, when you go in to see the general, when you walk in, take your cover off, hold your cover in your hand so that your emblem shows. See? That Marine emblem has to show. He said, hold it in your hand, walk up to his desk, stand at attention until he tells you what to do. Yes, sir. So I walk in and walk up to his desk, and he's sitting behind his desk, and he begins talking to me, not so scared, I don't even know what he's saying. He finally says something about, well, you're going back to the station, you have to go to the White House. You're being called to the White House. Now, why? I didn't.
You had no idea.
I didn't say why. I just listened, and finally he said what he's going to say. And if he used the word Medal of Honor, I'd never heard it. 10 years ago, if you'd have said gigabyte to me, I would have known exactly what it was. So I didn't know what if he said it, I didn't get it. So he handed me this great big envelope. It was a yellow envelope, about 10 inches by 6 inches. And he handed them to me and he said, these are your orders. Your excuse. Dismissed, whatever he said. So I turned around and walked back out. Get outside, and the colonel's still standing there, and he said, that envelope. He said, on the back of it is his seal. And I turned it over and looked at it, and there's a wax about the size of a 50-cent piece where the envelope comes together, and it had the block letter E in there. His name was Erskine, and that was his official seal. And the colonel said, don't break that seal, that's a court-martial offense. Holy cow!
You're going to break that.
So I go back to my tent, or back to the first sergeant's office, and he said, go pack your sea bag. We're going to get you to the airport. Well, they had a little airport just a few miles from where we were, but it was dirt. Hadn't even blacktopped it yet. And so I take my sea bag and off we go. I get to the airport, and they had a wee little shack there, and there was a Marine sitting in there, and I guess he was the guy that directed the airplanes, I don't know. But I walked in and told him that I'd been sent down here to get on the airplane. He said, well, have a seat over there. Well, there was a bench sitting against the wall, and I went over and sat down on the bench. And I sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there, and about 4 o'clock that afternoon, I got up and went back to his desk, and I said, would you call my first sergeant? I'm lost, I don't know what to do. I said, would you call my first sergeant? I told him my outfit was in, so he called him. First sergeant, I'm not going to tell you what he said, but he said, all right, I'll come and I'll send somebody to get you. So they took me back. I went back to my tent that night, And then the next morning, they picked me up, took me back to the airport. By that time, they did have an airplane. I'd never been on an airplane. It wasn't a very big airplane anyway. I've never been on one. So I got on it, and we took off, and we made one stop, Johnson Island, to refuel, and then from there all the way to Hawaii. So I get to Hawaii, and get off that plane, and they didn't know any more than I did as to where I was supposed to go. I knew I was supposed to go to the headquarters of the Marine Corps there. So I asked somebody at headquarters, and they told me, and I finally found it. Walked in, and the little PFC there was typing on a typewriter, and I said, I want to see the first sergeant. So he got up, went back in the back of the building, and came back, and the first sergeant came out, and I said, I'm supposed to report here, here's my orders. So he broke the seal. They were
He broke the seal.
They were authorized to break the seal. So they had to write new orders. So he said, well, we'll get you a ride on the airplane as soon as we can.
Did he know what the Congressional Medal of Honor was?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
I bet he did.
Probably not.
Wait, how old were you at this point?
I was 21.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, never gonna catch up with you. Okay.
So he said, he told me, we'll get you a ride on the airplane as soon as we can, but he said, prisoners of war have first priority.
Oh,
And they were picking up the POWs from Japan, bringing them to Hawaii, loading them on another airplane, and shipping them to the States. And he said, we'll get you a seat as soon as we can, but the POWs have priority. So he said, we're going to send you out here to the Navy base until we can get you a seat. Well, I went to that Navy base. I think I'm the only Marine on the Navy base. There's just swabbies everywhere. I kept waiting over. I'd get up, go to chow 3 times a day, come back, and bunk out. It was just funny as could be. But they were the happiest group of people you ever found. You couldn't find a more happy group of people. And
So the whole plane.
they could drink beer, but they couldn't get whiskey.
But hold on, so most of the plane was POWs?
All of them.
So when you got on the plane, were they asking you, who are you? Did you know what was going on?
No,
Nothing?
nothing. And the reason finally the pilots yelled, take your seat, we're ready to take off. There were no seatbelts back then.
You can
But
smoke.
I had this front right seat, and the seat next to me, of course, was vacant because the guy that was supposed to be sitting there was somewhere in the back of the plane. So we got ready to take off. He came up and sat down beside me.
I gotta have
And we take off. And the motors are so loud. We're sitting right beside the motors. You can't talk.
Yeah.
So finally we get airborne and things kind of quietened down. And I began questioning him about POWs. I didn't know we had POWs in Japan at that point in time. I didn't know that. And I was asking him what they had him do and what kind of, how they treated him and that sort of thing. And he told me 2 things I specifically remember. He was working a coal mine. His job, they would give him bowl soup in the morning, and they'd march them all to the coal mine. They had to go down almost a mile to dig coal. And they'd give them a bowl of soup at noon, and that evening they'd bring them back out, but they had to get back to their little hut that they had them pinned in before they would give them their evening bowl of soup. And he said, any of those guys that were down there digging coal, if they didn't make it up, didn't get out, couldn't get back out of the mine, and they would fall, give up, or get so tired they couldn't move, no energy. That's where they died. Because there were no.
So you're 21 years old, you're sitting here after what you've been through, fighting in Iwo Jima,
Yeah,
and now you're hearing this.
yeah.
What, I mean,
Well, I asked him, as I said, I was asking him about questions and how they treated them, and he said it was very brutal. You know, they just whacked you with a stick or anything. And one of the things he said was that I've never forgotten. You will really never know what freedom is until you use it. Those words have never left me.
And Woody, that's why I'm here with you tonight. These kids, these generations, my generation, they gotta know, they don't know that. They don't get it. They don't think it's real.
And that's understandable.
Well, you need to go to bed. This has been unbelievable. Thank you. And you want to get a picture?
Yes, and you're the most humble man
Come on back.
I've ever met